Hi friends, I always talk how good a Tesla is until I saw this. Hyliion is twice cheaper, Hyliion can go twice the distance, and Hyliion could carry 10,000 pounds more than a Tesla. It looks like we have a winner. Hyliion is better. Okay, thanks, bye. Have you ever had one of those experiences where something seems really good at first, but the longer you look at it, you'll be like, wait a minute. I remember there was this hot girl in my life. I think that's a story for another day. To see the bigger and clearer picture, like everything in life, you need to ask the most fundamental question from a first principles approach. I came up with these two questions. If you have any, do let me know below. The first question I'll ask: how many trucks travel more than 500 miles each trip? I mean, there is no point making a 10,000 mile truck, right? The driver still needs to take a poop. So that is very fundamental. The second question I'll ask: what's the typical load a semi-truck will pull? This is a super important question. If you can pull more, it translates to more load each trip, which have extra savings. This is the investor slide from Hyllion, and if you notice, it is the load that makes the most difference for both the trucks, else everything is roughly the same. Because Hyllion can pull more load, that translates to more savings. So these are the two most important questions you need to ask. It took a long time to research to find the answers to these questions. A smash on the like button is highly appreciated. The Tesla Semi is fully electric, obviously, battery powering both the electric motors. Both Nikola and Hyllion is the same as a Toyota Prius. The fuel to engine to battery then to electric motors. We can't run from physics here. The more steps equals to more efficiency losses, the more maintenance, more expensive. I don't care how companies lie their way out of this, it is a fact. While researching, I came across this. See, all things equal, the trucker will drive about 55 to 60 miles per hour. At the end of the 11-hour drive shift, it amounts to 600 to 650 miles per day. This means Hyllion having a range of like 1,300 miles sounds like kind of unnecessary. Anyway, back to answering the most fundamental questions. How many trucks travel more than 500 miles each trip? This is the distance traveled in miles here, and this column here is by the weight. 84% of trucking is below 500 miles. Anyways, I'm not too sure if trucking 500 miles in one go without rest is legal. While the Tesla semi-truck driver takes his break, a full charge will take 30 minutes, or a 70% charge in 15 minutes will definitely get him to his destination. That's the same as the time refueling gas. So Tesla Semi has the added extra advantage of charging while loading and unloading. Unless the company has very niche requirements, Hyllion is a good choice.
For everything else, there's
Tesla. The next most fundamental question: what is the typical weight a semi-truck pulls? This answer was quite hard to find, but here it is. Accordingly, the EPA estimates the typical weight of a Class 8 truck. The payload will max out at 40,000 pounds. This is well within Tesla's payload capacity. Since the data was quite hard to find, I had to search for answers from real users, real drivers doing this every day. This is from a FedEx driver, and they haul max load. Running max load with a gross weight of maximum 75,000 pounds. 75,000 pounds is gross weight. When you translate that to payload weight, it's less than 40,000 pounds. There's another semi-driver that mentioned that he averaged at 34,000 pounds. So the answers around is roughly the same. Think about it. Payloads typically max out at 40,000 pounds. So what if you can haul 10,000 pounds more? Again, Hyllion covers a very niche market.
for everything else, there's
Tesla. I just want to add one more thing before I wrap up. Most people don't understand Elon's willingness to change if it's proven wrong.
Like, the worst thing would be, like, we want to do some dumb design and stick with our dumb design.
right.
That would be insane.
I'll quickly cover Tesla's stock charts, as it's something that you guys really like me to do. Last week I drew the wedge here, and since then things has changed. The wedge has now become an extended wedge. The thing about wedges is, the longer the wedge is, the more explosive the action is. It's just like any other stock. You can sideways for a long time. The longer you drag the sideways movement, the more explosive the stock becomes. So anyway, this is a longer wedge. As the earnings approach, I foresee that the stock price will move upwards before the earnings. Anyway, I want to point you to another wedge that is forming. Let me delete this first. And I like to draw this line here. So this is the next mini wedge that I see. Just move this down a little bit. You notice the stock price keeps bouncing along this line at $416. Hit here, it bounced up, hit here, bounced up. It keeps playing around the $416 line. And if I were to just extend this line down here, which I just drew, it looks like another mini wedge. So there are a lot of wedges coming in, both the long-term wedge and the short-term wedge. Personally, this is a very bullish movement for Tesla, and let's see how this plays out. Wrapping up, is Hyliion a competitor? Yes, if you are in a very niche market. And for everything else, there is a... you got it! Regarding the cost and maintenance, it is pretty obvious pure electric drivetrains are the way to go. Battery technology will continue to improve over time too. Battery day is just over 50% reduction in weight, 50% reduction in cost. Things are gonna change. Appreciate the early thumbs up, invest, save.